Hello and welcome to Capital Market Live from Channels Television, where you'd get in-depth analysis of events affecting your investments. I am Will Ibang. Let's dive straight into the equities market and see how it performed. And with us in the studio is Mr. Kofi Garba, CEO, APT Securities Limited. Many thanks for joining us on the program, Mr.
I'm happy
Garba.
to be with you.
So Garba, the equities market closed in the green.
Yes.
After reversing last week's loss, we see a 1.29% uptick
Yes.
this week. What are the factors? We did see that outperformance by the consumer goods sector. What is driving that?
Well, the truth of the matter that you remember that even from the beginning of the year, the consumer sector have demonstrated ability to do well. Despite the fact that one of them has fallen down, like the flour mill, because they failed to release their result on time. But the other sectors, like the Boa food, has done very well. And that trigger also the Dangote sugar, the NASCON, they all follow the suit because of the expectation that are likely going to see another Dangote food on the line. So in view of this, most of them, they have gained tremendously, and these are the major sectors in the foods industry.
So what would you say that, are you saying that Boa Foods, we're seeing that buy interest in Boa Foods. What in particular is, piquing investors' interest in that stock?
Well, what is piquing the interest in that sector is the rate of growth. Boa Food listed January 2022 at 40 naira. Today you are talking about 165 naira. That is growing more than 4 times in less than 2 years. And don't forget that this is the company that started with paying just about 2 naira plus. Today they pay about 4 naira 50 kobo dividend, outperforming even the flour mill, which is the major player sector. Because when you look at the turnover of flour mill, it's more than 2 times the turnover of the Boa food. But in terms of dividend, you cannot match them. And that what give the market rewarding the Boa food to where it is today. Now there is this expectation of Dangote food. And almost in the similar line with the Boa food, because this is an industry that are looking at the salt, which is the leading salt producer in the country, the sugar, they are the leading sugar producer in the country, and now the rice mill. And don't forget, they have rice mill about 10 factories across the nations. And all these are summed together as Dangote rice. So when you combine the 3 of them, and these are the basic need for life, we believe, irrespective of the cost for living, one must eat. And you cannot say, because I eat yesterday, I will not eat today. So therefore, the people understand the sensitivity of the sector and a reality that this is a necessity. And therefore, people try to gauge themselves in this line in order that whatever the benefit, this should also be part of share. Don't forget that. A lot of people did not have the confidence of Boa food will be where it is. So now they don't want to be sliced twice. That, look, I lost in that game. Should I allow myself to lose in this? No way. Just a week. Each of these, the NASCON and Dangote sugar gain over 25% in one single week. And they are likely going to repeat this until such a time that they come to the conclusion of their merger. Once it's approved and agreed by the shareholders, the rest will be history.
Don't you think that the share prices are moving a bit too fast, especially the merger is yet to be concluded? Why is the share price racing? Won't we just see it plummet and go right back to where it started?
In investment, you look at the future. You don't look at the past. People have seen the growth of the Boa food. This is a stock that came to the market with an earning of less than 3 naira. Today, by half year, they are talking of an earning of 5 naira. So by the end of the year, Boa will have not less than 10 naira earning per share. This is a completely change in the Boa sector. So if that can be possible, what tell you that it will not be possible if the other decided to merge into the same sector? So people doesn't want to wait for. They have seen what happened here, and it can be repeated somewhere else. So they want to get themselves prepared already for whatever the likely outcome is going to be.
Okay, so we're still talking of Boa Foods. Let's stay on that. Boa Foods has just been reclassified from medium to a high price stock. Can you just explain what this means for Boa Foods and what it means for the shareholders in that company?
Yes, in the pricing of stock in the Nigerian exchange, we classified them into three. We have penny stock. What are the penny stock? Any stock that is trading 5 naira and below. Even if it is trading at 5 naira, but it has not crossed 3 months consecutive trading at 5 naira, we consider it as penny stock. And once you are a penny stock, you can increase your price by a single kobo. That is why you see many stock like Transcorp, you can get it 48 kobo, 49 kobo, or 50 kobo. So because they are penny stock. But once you cross 5 naira, you now become a medium stock. And the minimum you can move is by 5 kobo. That is why when you look at stock like fixing, like most of these Nestle, Access Bank, you will see them, they will increase by 5 kobo, no longer 1 kobo. So once they place you as a high stock, a high stock is a stock that has been trading 100 naira and above for over 3 consecutive months. So once you are classified in that group, the minimum you can increase is 10 kobo. That is why you see stock like Nestle Food, Airtel, you will never see 5 kobo or 1 kobo in their prices. The minimum you can see is 10 kobo. And Boa Food has been classified as high class. What it means that today, you cannot price Boa Food. The minimum you can add for Boa's food is 10 kobo. If you price it 99 or 95, the system will not take it. Or even if the system assumed to have taken that price, it will never be placed because there is no room for it. Don't forget that we have Boa Cement. And Boa Cement has been there for long, but it's not classified as high class because the price has never crossed 100 naira for more than 3 months. But for Boa Food has been there, and now we are talking about 65. So it has reached a high price stock that the minimum you can price is 10 kobo. Anything below that, you don't get it.
Very interesting. We look forward to how that price movements, and we know investors are already there. We'll cash in on that. Now, let's look at other stocks that actually made moves during the week. We did see Transcorp, making that, skyrocketing this week. It closed to, almost 6 naira this week. We also see that this week is acquired 60% of the Abuja Disco and is targeting 2,000 megawatts of power generation by the end of the year. What are your projections for Transcorp? Do you think that they can meet this projection? I mean, this target, and do you see what growth trajectory do you see for the company?
You see, I can tell you that Transcorp, if they remain what they are, they can double their current price. The reason is the fact that they are generating power. They are generating power in Ogehili, they are generating power in River State. And the two combination of the power can generate 2,000 megawatt. So today is the single industry that generates more than 40 to 50% of the power generated in the country. Nobody take it from them. And they are living on the gas industry. Their gas is not the question of vandalizing the pipeline. No, they are living on the center of the gas. So they just generate the gas down to the ladder and generate power from the source of the gas without a major pipeline. Having done that, now they go into power distribution. And take it or leave it, the major sector that pay power is Lagos and Abuja. That is why you see any disco in Lagos, either Ikeja or Echo, they are in money. They never default in their payment because they are getting money. Industry are there, the commercial are there, and the people are ready and have the ability to pay. The next is Abuja. And now the Transcorp decided to acquire the disco of Abuja. I believe you that in the whole north, there is no any town now that generate power money than that of Abuja. It passed even Kano. So now they are into generation and distribution. So even if other doesn't want it, they can distribute to their company. And be rest assured, once you are sure of regular light, people are willing to pay. We have seen households that pay 100, 120,000 in a month for power. Why? Because they know the consequences of buying diesel for generating your own power. And people now have seen that, yes, power is not easy at all, and people are willing to pay. So because of this combination, people rush into power. Remember, Transcorp was trading 1 naira in January. Today, it's trading almost 5 naira. I'm not surprised if by the end of this quarter, I see it trading between 7 to 10 naira. It's not impossible. Believe me sincerely, it's a combination that nobody can take it. You generate power, you distribute power. So the issue of that Disco are not collecting power will never happen to Abuja because they generate their own power. Even if any other person is not taking it, they will take it and distribute it and have their money. And most of the Abuja are elite. They know the value of power and they know what it meant to generate power by buying diesel. So they are willing and ready to pay whatever the power they can get when they get it as when do. And that is what people make to say that Gregu has already moved to over 300 naira from just a list of 100 naira October last year, in less than 1 year. So they were not there. So they don't want to be left out for Transcorp.
But
and that's what makes them to.
But some analysts do not buy into your own sentiments. They think Transcorp is not a stock that you can hold for a long time. You think that you're saying, Transcorp is the way to go, but they probably get up to 10 naira, 10 naira in the near future. So do you think they're wrong to say that Transcorp should not be held?
The beauty of the market, that whatever you think as an analyst, the market doesn't care. The market is going to do what it's going to do. Who told you that Transcorp will be 5 naira from 1 naira in January? Most of the analysts did not believe it, but here we are. So whether you agree or you don't agree, the market is going to do with it. And if you argue with the market, you will only be a mediocre. So whatever the analysts think about the Transcorp cannot hold it, let it be. Time will tell. Where is Transcorp Hotel? Today it's trading at 40 naira from 4 naira. The market doesn't look at what the sentiment and analysts have. They look at the demand and supply. As long as there is demand, look at the volume that is going. If the owner is acquiring the share, what stop you acquiring? Who know the Transcorp more than the owners? We have seen how the owners are all. The moment Femi Otedola declared 5% holding in Transcorp, what happened? Just suddenly, we see Tony have 25%. From where? So if the owner now decided to say, here we comes, it shows you that if you are serious, be there. And that's what most of the investors are going. Don't forget, it's still a penny stock because it's traded less than 5
naira. Okay, so we'll just keep an eye, keep watching Transcorp. But before we just end this session, we saw the Q2 numbers, the GDP numbers that came out yesterday at 2.51% for the second quarter from 2.31% in the first quarter. Did it meet expectations? And how do you see this influencing market sentiment for next week?
Well, the truth of the matter did not meet the expectation. We are seeing us declining. And it is a challenge for the government in power. You cannot move anywhere if your growth of the GDP is below the growth of your population. What does that mean? You are producing what you cannot even feed. Therefore, you end up producing more millions poverties. So the government have to wake up. This is a poor performance. It shows us below the growth of the population, and they have to wake up, particularly the small-scale industry, because the small-scale industry is what carry our economy. When I look around the corner, I then see those who are boiling maize, those who are selling granite, all this disappear. It makes me scared, because those small industry are the one that carry a lot of family. So when they are down, that means we are in trouble. And the government have to wake up, see whatever they can do, even if they can revive back the policy of going 5,000, 10,000 to the market woman, I will like it. Because those who turn the money, if their capital is down, there is nothing to hold. And we want them to survive for the economy to grow better.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kofi Garba. We do want them to survive. Chief Executive Officer, APT Securities Limited. It was good to have you on the program and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Capital Market continues right after the break. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Now, this week, JP Morgan, that's the multinational invest consulting company, published a report estimating Nigeria's net FX reserves at about $3.7 billion at the end of last year, which is significantly lower than previous estimations. However, the firm also stated that low net FX reserves implies continued FX market pressures, but that the Central Bank of Nigeria still has the ability to source FX at commercial and semi-commercial rates. Meanwhile, the CBN has come out to say that the report is misleading. Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO Finance with Mukhtar, joins us virtually. Mukhtar, what do you make of this report by the JP Morgan and also the reaction from the Central Bank of Nigeria?
Unfortunately, you see, in Nigeria, you look at the numbers and you make your analysis and they come after you and say you are not saying the right thing. What JP Morgan did was to look at the analysis and then make their opinion based on the analysis. But unfortunately, I think the CBN did not clothe themselves in glory with the way they made their presentation, because from that presentation, they did not give us detail. Like they came out later to explain that we don't know the time tenure when they are supposed to pay this money. So it could be when at that time oil price would have gone up, the reserve would have been boosted. So there need to be clarity. And for a firm that have not, a regulator that has regulated other regulators, and when I mean has regulated other regulators to present their results as when due, not to be presenting its own results in almost 8 years later. So it calls for a lot of concern. But by and large, I think they've explained, they are the ones there. So let's follow the CBN and let's agree what they say, because they seem to be the ones that have more information than every other person. But hopefully what they are telling us is true.
We're still seeing the FX scarcity in the country, and we're seeing that struggle between the official window, the IRD window, and the parallel market. And we're seeing the BDCs, that's the Bureau de Change, coming into play there. And we also saw that news that the BDCs are saying that Forex markets will begin to see and capture diaspora remittances, because we're talking about inflow of Forex into the country. And they're saying that this is when the central bank starts full implementation of the integration of BDCs into the I&E window. How do you see this? So the funds, they're saying the diaspora remittances were diverted before. Now we're going to be seeing it, being captured. So where was it hanging before? Where were we keeping, stashing this? And what do you see this happening? Do you see us having more inflow from diaspora remittances being, deployed to areas where the country really needs it?
Well, it's a good thing. When you look at Nigeria remittance, I think some 3 years ago, diaspora remittance was even higher than what we got in oil price. I mean, in terms of oil gain. And so definitely it's a sure window for FX liquidity. But again, we mustn't forget that they also have their own challenges here in diaspora too. Most of them are just coming back to work. And they want to maximize the return that they are getting. They would definitely want to maximize return. That's why they normally go through the Bureau de Change, because the Bureau de Change will give them high return. But now that the CBN is saying they are going to make sure that they keep everything, steady, then hopefully we'll see that plan out.
But I want to know the role. It's been, we've been having that conversation, and we're talking about the role commercial banks can play, even being Bureau de Changes, having their own Bureau de Changes within, the banking halls. How do you see this helping to show up FX supply in the country? Because we do know that these banks, as you mentioned, do have their overseas branches, and they have, FX supply. So are they able to help the central bank, intervene, because the central bank has to keep intervening in the market? So do you see commercial banks playing a role in also this for FX supply?
I think they will in the long run. If the CBN really wants to do the right thing, you need to liberalize that sector. We need to see the banks begin to be the real middlemen in terms of FX. We need to see the bank earning FX also into our own economy, either through Eurobond or whatever means. We need to see the CBN allowing the Bureau de Change aspect of the banks. The banks should be allowed to establish Bureau de Change like it's done in every developed economy or developing economy. I think if you do that, you liberalize that sector, you bring in liquidity into that sector, we could have stability in the exchange rate. Look, stability in the exchange rate is not going to be a rocket science, neither will it going to be something that we achieve within 24 hours or within 1 month or within 2 months, like we have seen with the floating of the currency. But if we have the right policy in place and then we are able to bridge that gap, then definitely we'll begin to see those stability. Now, if you liberalize the banks and you tell them that the bank also can have an arm of bureau de change, where I can enter and do my documentation like it's done in other economy and get my effects, I think that will help the economy. And that will reduce the volatility that we are seeing, especially because what is driving the market at the moment is liquidity, nothing else but liquidity. So once you are able to bridge that liquidity gap, then you see those rates come down. And there's no better people to do that than the banks, especially when you look at the tier 1 bank. If you look at the revaluation based on their results that they have just released, you realize that they have a lot of effects that are just lying follow maybe in offshore. So you can liberalize the sector and allow them to bring in these effects into the market to also become competitors with the bureau de change without UCBN always being the sole provider. Most of these banks also have clients in multinationals that sometimes have to pay money to the CBN. The CBN should begin to think how, if I'm a client at NFX, I don't have to remit it to the CBN, then the CBN in turn gives me Naira. Why can't I remit it to my bank? All these are processes that the CBN can put in place, and they will bring liquidity into the market, and we could see the stability that we're all looking forward to.
So we do know yesterday that the U.S. Fed Chair Jerome Powell during the Jackson Hole meeting said that the bank is prepared to raise rates to keep inflation in check. And this may be an extra blow for our FX market, especially with the projections by JP Morgan. Our inflation rates may hit 28% by the end of 2023. How do you see this impacting us? Did we float our Naira too soon? How is this going to impact us any further than what we're experiencing right now?
Well, we want stability in the market, and again, to drive stability in the market, you need to look at that process and attract foreign investors, whether portfolio or foreign direct investors. And even with this news, ordinarily, it shouldn't be a bad news for us Nigerians, because if you look at like Bello Kefi was just saying before he left, if you look at our equity, they are still very low price. The gain on it, I mean, in terms of capital appreciation, is still high. But what we'll gain in terms of low FX price, investors, the foreign investors will lose in terms of the exchange rate. So what we need to do is that fix the exchange rate, let it be stable. It's a fluid market. The investors will definitely make their decision. But if you don't feel that rate, if you don't get that rate in place, we'll continue to have those challenges. They won't want to come to the market, especially the two-way exchange system. They won't want to come into the market. They would rather keep their money here and get the 2%, 3%, 4% rather than coming to Nigeria to make 15%, 20% that you are not sure you'll be able to repatriate back to your country. So definitely, I think it's all boiled down to that. No investor will come to your market when you have this kind of volatility in your exchange rate. Investors want to come when you have stability. So once stability comes, naturally, I tell you, the foreign investors see Nigeria as a gold mine with the type of opportunity that we have in the midst of the challenges. They will definitely want to come, but we need to fix that exchange rate. They are not interested in coming to buy goods and services, looking at inflation. Remember that their cost of funding from where they are coming is cheaper than cost of funding even in Nigeria. So they tend to have a lot of advantage.
Okay, thank you so much. So the take home, yes, stability will bring in the foreign exchange that we need, the foreign investors coming to the country and keep their money instead of, always, having that money is taken out of the country right back. Thank you so much, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO, Finance with Mukhtar. Many thanks for your time this evening.
My pleasure. We do have a pleasant weekend.
And that's it on Capital Markets. Don't forget you can join us again next week and watch this again on YouTube and on our other social media platforms. I'm Will Ibang. See you next time.